That's going to fit and earn your trust. They're extremely intelligent. They do their homework. They're very, very smart. People that run into these oftentimes are, as they really in some sort of negative rut or chaos emotionally. Some of them are dabbling in occult stuff that they shouldn't be. A lot of people like to pick up the Ouija board, for example. Ouija board, anything like that, we tend to turn around and tell people to leave it alone. And the reason is not that you can't have a good experience with it, because you absolutely can, but the problem is people go into it without doing the emotional work first. They go into it with maybe a little bit of fear, a little bit of curiosity, a little bit of, oh, I'm looking for a dead loved one. And if you go into something like that, and into any of this looking for somebody, you're going to run yourself into trouble, because the vibration that you've got going isn't, oh, I can't wait to see this person. I'm really excited to see them. I'm so happy that they're in a better place. That's not where you're at. You're usually coming from a place of, God, I really miss them. I'm really sad. I'd really love to see them again. And that emotion and that vibration, that's what you're going to bring in. That's what you're attracting. And you don't want to attract on that level. You don't want to be there. You want to attract on a level that's pure and positive and happy and amazing, something that's going to bring you some amazing experiences. But if you're sitting there and you're talking to these things on a level of, a negativity, what you're going to bring in is exactly what you're giving out. So it's really about doing the emotional work first. This stuff, you can have the most amazing relationship with some of these spirits. Believe me, I've lived in some of the most haunted places, and it's been some of the most wonderful times that I've ever had. I mean, we've had some great fun together. We've had amazing things go on, and it can be just such a great experience. But if you come at it from the wrong angle, that's when you start running into your problems. And it's all about doing the work first and doing the emotional stuff. We actually did a workshop about this and teaching people how to get there and how to understand this. Called the Demon Strategy, Shedding Light on the Dark Side of Ghost Hunting. And it's been an extremely popular workshop just because people really want to get into this and they really want to understand where their attraction point is, what they're bringing into their lives, and maybe realize what they might be bringing in that they don't realize. So we're such huge fans of teaching the people, and the people teach the spirits how to treat them after that. So it's really so key for everybody. But is there anybody have any questions? Yes.
You used to tour in the globe with night tours?
Yes.
With like layman people that don't know what's going on?
No.
Did you take them in the basement?
No.
Okay.
No basement for them. Yeah, we used to be able to take people to the second floor and the third floor. We had some amazing stuff actually go on there. We actually saw an apparition on the second floor balcony walking from one side of the balcony to the other, and there's nobody there.
Were they drunk?
Yeah. No, actually, they looked like they were walking pretty straight. But what was really cool about that, and it was residual energy, and I'll tell you why. What was neat about that was when we went out on the balcony, the person would have had to have been like 8 feet tall in order to have seen them through the window. And when we looked at the balcony and where it was seated, the balcony had been renovated and had been dropped about a foot and a half. So that person would have actually had to have been walking on the old floor. So that's an example of residual energy, is that you've got an imprint of something that happened when that old floor was still there. So it just looks like somebody's just walking by that's, 3 feet off the floor. Oftentimes when you look and there's an old floor plan or something like that, you'll actually see, oh, hey, that spirit or that memory didn't walk through a wall. There used to be a door there.
We also caught that on video too, the face in the window.
Yes, yeah, there was a photograph as well. We caught a strange image that we couldn't account for in that window as well. But no, like this, the one at the Globe was extremely territorial over the basement. And when they like an area, they tend to stay there. It's a strange dynamic. When you get one that's territorial over a space, they like that space. When you get one that's territorial over a person, they're going to go wherever they want. So wherever you are, they go with you. So you'll see cases where an entity, for example, will end up, the people will be like, okay, well, I'm having this terrible time with this thing. The first thing I have to do is move. And that's rarely the advice we ever give anybody. It's like, because exactly. And if you can do the emotional work first and get yourself out of the vibrational pattern that brought you to that entity to start with, then you're not going to have a problem where you're at. So it's really about, yeah, as I say, is doing the work. Anybody else? Yeah.
What happens to them when that building got knocked down? Do they disappear or do they just stay?
Or they go to the Mayfair
Or the Kega building next door.
You know what? That's something that we've been asking ever since that thing got torn down. Oftentimes they will stay with the land, and they'll just wait. Sometimes it's enough for, if there's enough of a change in dynamic that they'll go. They'll just take off somewhere else. You'll never actually, anybody that turns around and says that they can get rid of one, you're never ever going to get rid of it. You can't destroy energy. It's impossible. It's physically impossible. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. You will never get rid of it in that sense. And what we find with people is that if they've had a problem with these spirits in their life, if they sort of end up back in that emotional rut again, it'll come back. So it's really about feeling as good as you can feel all the time, which is pretty good.
Not a bad thing.
Which you're supposed to be doing anyways.
It's all about really being as happy as you can be, as much as you can be it. So it's really, there's not much of a trade-off there. But yeah, so I mean, there's been a lot of encounters where, as I say, people have just